Why, hello there, exiles. Today we're doing something different. We have a guest, and we're going to grill him about Path of Exile and then content creation. This is a series where I'm starting called Tell Us About. We're joined today by Lolcohol. He's the reason that I cannot look at Cassia the same way without going, divine power! You're making me nervous! Yeah. And he's also been doing a lot of crafting videos recently that people have really been like. A link to his channel will be in the description. Thank you for joining me today, Lolcohol.
Hey James, how you doing?
Great. All right, so I gave you some of these questions that we're going to get into, and some of them are pretty hard questions, huh?
Hit me. Let's go. I'm ready for it.
Okay, so the first one that I want to know about is how did you get into Path of Exile? And how did you hear about the game?
Well, I came off Diablo 3, like a lot of people. D2 is my favorite game ever. Diablo 3 came out. It was terrible. Can I say that? I mean, Path of Exile people are watching. D3 sucked when it came out. It was so bad. And then I started panicking and looking for a new ARPG. And then I found this game like Path of Exile. I watched a few clips of it for a few months, and it's just like, this looks so bad. But like, there's nothing else. So I ended up a few months later watching a Crypt stream, and someone just handed me a closed beta key. So in early 2013, I booted it up for the first
closed
time.
beta, lucky.
Yeah, closed beta from a Crypt stream, and I played it a bit. Like, there were only about 2 acts at the time. Got into it like that, and then I don't know. It's been growing ever since, and I never stopped playing. So that's how I got into it. So thanks for sucking, D3.
Wow, going really hard on that D3. You think D4 is going to be better?
Maybe there's some stuff that looks cool about it, but there's some things that are kind of. I'm gonna play it, but I don't know. My expectations have been dashed. After D3, I never get excited for games anymore, except for PoE.
That's so sad, man.
I know, because like my heart was broken. I've been waiting for D3 for like 10 years, and it was just not good. So, well, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So here's the question. Should you be emotionally investing in video games as much as you do if your heart can be broken by a video game? That's
so. I think Cyberpunk did that to a lot of people last year, and I was just like, well, there you go.
Well, this game too, if you look at a lot of the community or the Reddit community, apparently the sky is falling and expectations and lives are shattered based on patch notes. So daily for sure. Well, you managed to ruin my next question, which is how long you've been playing for, but well, you answered it, I guess, already. So maybe this is going to be a short interview, sir.
Too long.
Yeah, there you go. Already cutting down time. All right. So, what sort of archetypes do you like playing in games, and do you try to stick to one in Path of Exile, or do you just go all over the place? What do you like to play?
I kind of do go all over the place, but I've always been like more of a spellcaster, I guess, and ranges. I don't know. No, I'm not specific, man. I'll play whatever looks cool. Whatever does the most explodey things and a lot of damage. But yeah, I guess probably I'll lean towards, like in D2, Sorceress. I'll pick Sorceress over Barbarian any day.
So more of a zoomer than a tanker.
Yeah, sometimes. Although this league, actually in the last couple of leagues, I've become way more interested in tankiness. Because Guitaraholic in my Discord kind of, I think he softcore shamed me.
Softcore shamed you? Shame!
Yeah. He was just like, this build is good, but it has 3,500 life. I mean, it wasn't that bad, but since then,
you guys running around with 3K life.
Yep. I wasn't that bad, but especially lately, I'm like, I'm gonna drop some damage for defense, which is kind of sacrilege in softcore. Like even with my latest build,
Yeah.
people are like, where are the cluster jewels? Like, what's the cluster jewel setup? The cluster jewels give you so much more damage. And I'm like, yeah, but you lose like 50% EHP. So
You have
why
more
would
than
you do it?
4,000 life in softcore? How dare you,
Exactly.
sir? This isn't allowed.
Exactly.
What build is this? 0 DPS, 0 DPS, 0 DPS. That's the going thing. You know what I mean? Everything is 0 DPS nowadays. Even when it's not. So the bar for 0 DPS, just if you guys don't know, is about 30 million DPS per second. That's the cutoff for 0 DPS nowadays.
So true. So many people are like, oh, the build's good, it's tanky, but like the damage isn't very good. Like it takes 5 seconds to kill a conqueror. Really?
yeah. At what point? Yeah, but I actually have to play the fight, guys. Like this build sucks.
Yeah.
Come on. Oh, geez. All right. I did a poor job taking notes, and I had 2 other questions that I could have spun off from there, and I just lost them. So I'm going to have to do better on that. Pro interviewer here definitely stays on track. Oh, I know what I was going to ask you. Here we go. What are your thoughts on Headhunter? Is it ruining the game, or is it good for the game?
I love Headhunter. I think it's great. I think it's good for the game, especially on leagues like this. Like Scourge League, Headhunter felt so good. It was so nice. Like Delirium, Headhunter was so good. Legion. Not every league is it good for. Like, I don't know. What's a league it wasn't good for? Okay, Headhunter is good every league, but it's like
any league that didn't have Beyond on it on the Zena, and then was kind of Mars is probably a bad league for. But yeah, just about everyone. Like when you play with so many content creators and other people, rush Headhunter, and then they just play with Headhunter, all the time, and then they don't live in the reality of the people who don't have Headhunter, right? It's like a crutch you use in softcore in many ways. Just get all the buffs, now you're invincible. Oh, it can just fix all your problems. And so then at some point, it comes to a point where it's going to limit what they can do, right? Because no matter what content they make, you put Beyond on the map, you steal a bunch of buffs. There's no such thing as hard content for mapping. And then on the other end, then you're getting one shot and stuff. So to make it exciting for the Headhunter people, they have to make the game way more difficult. And I don't know, for me, once I get a Headhunter, like 2 or 3 leagues, I farmed a Headhunter out in 2 to 3 days. I put it on and I quit the league at day 5, right? So for me, I can't just endlessly zoom like that. Then it's just it's no different than Diablo 3, which you just spoke so fond of when I get Headhunter. So I don't know how people just grind it for hours at that point. So I haven't bought a Headhunter in 10 leagues because I just know I'm done for the game. In fact, let's be super controversial and just piss a lot of people off. So I got that mageblood, okay? I got the mageblood from that gamble. And I've played with my mageblood on for a total of under an hour.
Oh no.
It's just sitting, rotting in my stash.
Why don't you sell it? If I don't want to sell it instantly.
Really? It's so good though. But I could say that I have one.
Yeah, I guess so. And you got it from the worst NPC in the game. So
the worst? What?
Wait, you got it from Gwennon, right?
Hey, don't talk about my baby that way, okay?
No.
Nobody puts baby in the corner.
She's banned. She's banned on my stream.
She's
you mentioned Gwennon, you get banned. I've had some bad experiences with her.
You've had some, She doesn't treat you so well. No. Well, you should have talked to her all nice, took her out to dinner, stuff like that. That's what I did. And it really worked out for me. So maybe. I actually have a crap ton of coins that I'm just sitting on to gamble the currency stuff. I was gonna do a video and I'm just I don't even want to pull those out. And I actually have a ton of the Gwennon stuff too, and I just don't feel like clicking another 5,000 times too. So I could see that. What is your favorite mechanic that they've ever introduced into the game? That's a good segue into that.
Ooh, my favorite mechanic. Does delve count? Is delve a mechanic?
Yeah, it could be.
I
It was
guess
like
so.
a league or a theme or something that they did. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah,
So what do you like about Delve?
I think I don't know if it was a personal thing or if something about Path of Exile changed during Delve. Just the scope of the league itself felt so big compared to a lot of the stuff we'd seen before. Like previous leagues were Essence, where there is an essence in each zone, or Torment, there is a ghost in each zone, or even like Incursion, there is an incursion in each zone. And then Delve was like, here is an entirely new end game system that you can engage with from like the start of the game all the way into like content that's harder than the hardest content that already exists. And I don't know, that just grabbed me. So Delve has a special place in my heart. And then on top of it, fossils. That's probably when I really, really got into crafting and started making items that were worth like more than 50 chaos. So yeah, Delve's going to be my number one for that.
Interesting. And what are your other favorite mechanics outside of Delve? Like your second and third?
Second and third.
Just a mechanic, not thinking about the league as a whole, by the way. Just
Yeah.
the mechanic that they introduced.
Putting me on the spot.
Oh, well, that's what this is all about. You better get used to that.
Now I have to think. A mechanic that I really like. You know what? I'm blanking.
Do you like? Okay, here. How about this?
Give me an example.
Do you?
How about you?
Yeah. Do you like heist? There we go.
No.
We just did endless delve. We did endless heist. Did you participate in endless heist? Do you like heist? Do you hate heist?
Nope.
Okay.
I hate it.
It's too slow for me. I kind of hate it. However, if you're a new player, I highly recommend that you check out heist. You go to the Harbor Bridge and you buy contracts. There's several videos out there about that. If you don't know what you're doing and you have a slow build, just overlevel it, go do those contracts. You'll be richer than you would be. Just a little non-interview tip, just throwing that in there. However, if you're a zoomer and play with Headhunter, as so many people do, yeah, it's like the worst thing that you possibly could go to overall. But I don't know. What are the things that you don't like about heist? Here we go. Let's name them.
It's just very kind of stop-start the whole time, and also I don't really understand it. And I always feel like every single league I have a moment where I'm like, I'm gonna finally figure out heist and try get this thing just feeling good and level up all my dudes. And then I spend like an hour in there, and it just there's something about it that just feels so it just doesn't feel right.
Well, it irritates me several. Okay, there's multiple things that irritate me about it. One is, who thought it would be like conceptually it sounds good, like you blast open a door and then there's a pack waiting there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But with the spiky damage, it's like, so I'm getting one shot right now, huh? Yep. Whenever you open the door, and especially if you have a lot of builds, like you can't preset on the other side of the wall, so there's like a build disparity there. But the fact that like some of the stuff glitches out when you actually use the NPCs still is pretty worrisome to me.
Yeah, maybe that's it. It's just that there's so many freaking doors. Something I love about heist is the kind of, I think they call it like medium core mechanic, where you can lose something if you fail. I really like that. And also, I guess Delve also kind of has that a little bit.
Yeah, that is a cool thing. It's kind of a way. Same with like lab, but people hate lab as well. Yeah. Like it introduces some level of risk to, like a lighter risk, a hardcore element to softcore, which is really cool in the ways that they did that. But you know, a lot of developers won't even go out there and try something new. So I do like that they have Delve and they have Heist, these entirely like different systems to the side of the game, because there are people who like both of those. And by the way, just because we don't like it I mean, if you like it and you want to play it all day, that's the cool thing about the game. Go play that all day. It's a ton of money. Actually, there might be that, like, heist might be one of the most profitable things in the game. Actually, if you don't know crafting, like pulling out the replicas and stuff, so profitable. So definitely check out Heist if you don't like mapping as much. Check out Delve, stuff like that. I'm not here to shame you. That's not what we're about. It's just this is our opinion, what we like to play. Betrayal.
Betrayal. I love Betrayal.
I'll just say it. I love Betrayal. Wasn't fond of the last Aisling change. I don't know why they put that in there. I kind of think it sucked to do that, but I like Betrayal.
Yeah, that's also one of my favorite leagues. That was the first league where I farmed a mirror from crafting. So I have fond memories of it. And then just, it's a very interesting mechanic because, like, on the surface, you can figure out like a very simple way of engaging with it, but then you can like get really nerdy on it and figure out like, how does this relationship between these two people affect when this guy's going to spawn or when that person's going to spawn. But at the same time, I remember farming Betrayal during Betrayal League and running Harbor Bridge for like hours and hours just to get, like, who was it? If That Fled in research, and then no researchers spawned and all of that. So I think they mostly fixed that now that you get 3 Betrayal encounters per zone. But yeah, there's still that layer of RNG that can be really tilting. But
yeah,
I love it.
The other thing that's really cool about Path of Exile in general, if you guys haven't been playing for a while, is that they released the league mechanic, and then a lot of times they'll think, well, how can we do this better? So Betrayal is a good example where they've made several tweaks to it, and I think it's actually better in its current state than it was in the actual league state, despite having it. Another thing is like the temples, because I think you'd only have 1 temple, so you'd have to run like 12 maps. Them doing like 3 incursion encounters per map, that's really cool. So them taking that is something in general that I really like about Path of Exile. What about Expedition?
Expedition, I loved it. I thought it was really cool, especially the Expedition. The logbooks were cool. I think what got a bit tiring about it was just in maps was reading all the little things. I wish that they had figured out a way to have like an icon that just immediately showed this little chest gives you whatever armor, and it also makes them immune to fizz or whatever, something like that. So I liked it, but I also lastly got the worst RSI of my life, and I couldn't play for 2 weeks.
Yikes.
So, well, I mean, I did play. I just sat in my hideout crafting stuff with ROG, and I made a ton of money just doing that. And then I fed those into buying Gwenin currency and trying to get a headhunter. So I think that was a really good league, and the mechanic was really cool. And I hope they plan on doing some more stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's one of my favorite, most recent mechanics as well. And actually, that's what I farmed a majority of this league, where I farmed out the stuff for the mageblood. I just like doing the logbooks, and they're, well, honestly, I think it's OP on maps. There, I'll say it. It just is, because they give you 1 extra dynamite with all those pack size for the second tier of the scarabs. So if you're using those, and you can put it on every map in combination with the atlases, you get 7 dynamites. You just can take like everything. You get so many monsters. I've dropped 3 logbooks on 2 occasions now, and 2 logbooks on like 10 occasions, and it's just insane. So I like that if you set it up in the order and you could take them all, you have a strong build, and then you're doing like super high pack size quantity, you could really force some good loot there. I think part of it is like, I think everyone likes to feel a little bit special. So the fact that most people can't figure it out, and the fact that like I'm making little micro decisions, makes me feel superior to the average human being. And I think I like that, although it's kind of evil to say that, you know? Like,
Yeah, that's what
I'm better than
really...
other people. You know, in a sinister way.
But that does help with it because it's such a... There is, and I guess there kind of might be an optimal way to do it, but the layouts are all so varied that you kind of have to think on the fly. I'm talking about logbooks now, right? With the layouts.
Yeah, for that is interesting. Yeah, the logbook itself and then the map. Just to
Yeah, and if
like
you take the time and plan, you get rewarded nicely for it.
yeah, sometimes you get really insane stuff. One of the recent changes that they made is the more remnants you grab when you have a boss, the more reward you get from the boss. So I've gotten 41 Astragali from a boss before, which is pretty crazy.
That's a lot.
Well,
How much of those worth?
Well, when the gambling was high, like 4C each, so that was a lot. I think I got like 60 out of some maps. That's part of how I got so many for the gambling. So it gets really crazy. That's the entire reason. So when I'm planning out, here's an interesting question: how much do you plan out the build that you're going to do with the content you intend to farm?
Ooh, not at all, really. I kind of just go with the flow generally when it comes to like a build. And the thing is, I always encourage people, like, if you want to make a ton of currency, find content that you want to run a lot of and then get a build that does that really well.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't do that myself because I don't really care as much.
Yeah, that was the whole reason why I made the armor aura stacker thing, is I wanted to be able to just face tank logbook bosses that I grab every single remnant on the entire thing. And I wanted to do the league mechanics where I grab every single thing from that as well, basically. So I knew that I could do it at least decently well on my league starter, which is the lightning strike R accuracy stacker. And then I transitioned into that other build just so I could just face tank everything, basically. So I had a very deliberate plan, at least this league, of, okay, I'm pretty sure most people don't like Expedition. It's just coming off that league. The Atlas notables seem really busted. And if the Watchstone things are busted, which they were, because you can get extra currency drops from it, and you can get a lot of logbooks and stuff, then I'm just going to go all in and mostly farm that because I just really like the mechanic. So that's one of the things that not only you should find a profitable mechanic, there's a lot of them, but you got to find something that you enjoy farming. And I just really like Expedition for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Like I said, it's probably more sinister than I'd like to mention, where I feel superior or something, and because people didn't, and I'm like planning and scheming. And I think that's why I like Betrayal as well. Very much so, the same thing.
Yeah,
although I do try to explain it to other people, you know, a lot of people just don't get these things. What is your least favorite mechanic that they've introduced? And let's say like a real mechanic, not like Talisman or Torment or Prophecy, but like a real like recent-ish league, whether it's like Delirium, Legion, stuff like that. What's your least favorite out of like those?
Least favorite?
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna have to cut a lot of me thinking. I'm such a Path of Exile simp. Like, I love everything. Except
you just love everything.
Yeah, I'll say firstly HEIST. I think HEIST is incredible as a concept. I just don't like it. I remember when it came out, it felt like, oh, this is the first time we're seeing some like glimpses into Path of Exile 2, just because the art was so good and all of that. So I like it on that front. But yeah, I would say HEIST. Second is probably Incursion, maybe. I don't love Incursion. It's just like try and get a double corruption chamber, and then if you don't, put in your stash. Well, that's how I felt about it. And it's just I just use it if I'm juicing, really. Yeah. How about you?
Legion. I don't like Legion.
Legion?
I don't like the spikiness of the rares and how they stack up and like one shot you. I die the
Yeah.
most on Legion, and it just is very frustrating to me. So I don't like it on the maps at all, and I don't like the disparity between some builds that just don't do good AoE cascading. So I always feel if I'm playing a slower build that can't break everything out, I always just feel bad about myself basically afterwards. So either I'm getting one shot off screen or I'm going to feel bad about myself. That's what Legion is to me, at least.
2 reasons to hate it. Yeah, I get that.
Mm-hmm. Outside of that, like the thing about the incursion though, when they introduced that all the way back, like introducing Edziri and the temple, because they do Edziri at the same time with that expansion. I mean, I know it's not a part of the temple, but it was somewhere around that, right? Or no, I think it was like, I think it was before that.
Yeah,
that they did, but she was like, well, she was like in it where you could get her in the thing that
in
room
the
and
temple.
stuff. Yeah, in the thing, like that was like, well, whoa moment for me at least that I remember. Like, wait, what? You could get, because it's still like she was reasonably fresh at that point. The power creep of the game didn't get that high, and a lot of people couldn't farm Uber and Ziri, and a lot of people were struggling with her in general still.
Yeah.
Or at least in my friend group, you know what I mean? It was like a big deal. Oh, can you kill, like a lot of, I had to do a bunch of Adziri like carries for people back
hard.
then.
Even now she's really hard. Like if you don't have a way to deal with the reflects and the AoE and all of that, she's tricky.
Yeah, so I remember that. And then I remember like the temple boss, although it's a very, very lame boss, like that was a big deal as well. Like, oh, we get a boss at the end and it's like custom for the league that you could like spawn. Yeah, that and the whole room concept. I remember, so the thing is, now when they introduce leagues, it doesn't blow my mind so much, even when they do like crazy stuff. If you really just think about it, like even like Scourge League, some of the components to it are like, I was very disappointed by some of it. But if I think back, like if that had been like their 3rd or 4th league, I would have been like, whoa, dude, no way. You know what I mean? Think of like even, but we've been so spoiled with so many good expansions over the years that now we've kind of just like, we take any little league mechanic. When you look at other devs, they're not even putting close to as much stuff into their game. Right?
That's why PoE is such a great content creation thing, because it's just like constantly new stuff's coming, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's almost, there's almost too much stuff at this. Like my problem is it's too overwhelming and takes too long to do. Every single mechanic is the problem, not really the other one. It just seems overwhelming for the opposite reason, where most games are like I recently just played your favorite game, Diablo 3, with my casual friend. Okay, so I mean, it caps out at Greater Rift 150. People hit that like day 3. League's over like 3 days in, realistically, right? If you want to go hard, this game don't.
Yeah,
it ain't like that for this game, right? There's just like nothing else to do. You're doing the rifts, the Greater Rifts, and the bounties. Those are the 3 things you do. When you don't feel like that's fun, you're kind of just done. Hey, that all rhymed. You think maybe I'm in the wrong career here? Maybe I should be just a rapper rhymer guy. Huh? You can make me some sick beats. I could do some flowing. You know?
Little Humphrey, watch out.
Yeah. What is the most profitable activity that you actually enjoy doing, which is different from the most profitable activity that you actually can do?
Crafting. It's crafting. By far.
You like crafting? Okay.
Yeah. I know people hate it and they just say it's pure gambling and there's no skill and there's no way to guarantee profit, but there's a lot of people who would whose currency tabs would disagree with that, right?
I do think crafting is one of the most profitable things in the game. So many people don't want to sit down and learn it. So many people don't want to take the chance. Like that, the impression that you just said there is the entire impression of like 90% of people. And that's why it's so profitable. because 90% of the people don't even attempt to do that. Actually, even like 99% of the people don't know how to do the advanced crafts. So that 1% gets to do all the advanced crafts, and then the people who don't want to gamble, they just like basically it might take you 20x to craft the item. You pretty much could just about guarantee the item or very close to perfect off of 20x, and they sell it for 80x, and the person doesn't want to learn the crafting method, so you get to pocket 60x. So I definitely think it's one of the most profitable activities. I'd agree as well. It's just I want to kill monsters in the game for me personally. So I try to stay away from crafting, and I hate trading. Hate it in its current state. It's so awful.
Pretty bad. I don't. Do you want? How about? Should I give you an answer that's not like hideout warrior stuff?
I mean, it's a genuine. Like, I don't think there's bad answers here. Well, okay. If you don't agree with me, first of all, get the hell off my show. And secondly, there's only one right answer, which is my. That's not the purpose of this show. Is the opposite of that, right? To get your actual opinion, right?
Yeah.
On things. I mean, so I'm always curious what different people enjoy.
I do have issues with crafting, believe.
Oh, you muted yourself.
Thank you. Whoops, there we go. I'm back.
Okay, you were saying you do have issues with crafting.
Yeah, I do. I don't think it's a perfect system, and I feel like there needs to be something. How do I put it? So currently, early on, the only thing you can do is hope. Like you can use essences or fossils, which are great. You can get great items, but you can just get completely screwed and lose everything, which I don't like. Whereas higher end crafts are much more deterministic. They're not entirely deterministic, but much more. So you can really do the maths on it. Like if I do these steps, I'm probably going to get this as an end result. I'll probably spend this much and be able to sell it for that much. But there's like a weird gap, especially for probably the majority of players, where it will never make sense for them to attempt to craft anything because they could just go on the trade site and buy it for like super cheap. And then there's this vast gap between things people can afford and things people could potentially actually craft, and then like things that are almost mirror tier that they couldn't afford to even attempt to craft. And then there's kind of like, so how do I engage with this system? So
yeah, well, I don't think that's it's not unique to crafting. That's kind of a problem that they have with league mechanics. It feels like too, well, for Scourge, not a lot of people know the value of the Scourge maps, right? And are you realistically going to just mass Scourge items?
Yeah.
So it's either the people who understand how to make the maps quickly and grind that out, or the people who want to or know how to leverage the weapon part of it, even like trying to add things to it. They have a huge advantage where it's like extra monsters for a majority of the players, and then the difficulty ramps up too. So if you don't have a strong build, then you can't even kill it. So basically for a lot or a majority of the players, it's just don't even do the league mechanic, right? Because if you don't care about the maps. And this is, I think, similar, that they have the same mistake that keeps repeating itself, or maybe they don't see it as a mistake. I do, because I want as many people to experience the game as possible, especially newer players. I think it's a mistake. I think that they should make every league mechanic be the most profitable thing for that one league. And in a way that like ramps up, because I think their high end is really fair and good, like the Scourge maps. They nail that high end a lot of the times. It's just 50 to 80% of the people are going to quit the league because there's nothing there for them. So I wish they would do a better job with that. And that's the same thing with the crafting too. If you can get past that, but if I have 10 chaos, I ain't risking my 10 chaos, but I could buy an item. I'll just buy a not as good item, right?
Exactly.
So now if you have a million chaos, well, heck, even craft an item spamming chaos, who cares, right?
Yeah.
Like it means nothing to you to throw it away, and it's like that mentality gap. I think GGG likes systems set up like that, though. But I think it's hurting the growth of the game overall to have that massive jump from like basically like you're like, okay, casual player no, mid-range player no, new player no, elitist. You know what
I feel like, okay, that's maybe a bit not cynical, but I would say I feel like there is a slot where people can actually do content that's pretty challenging. But I think the problem is that a lot of players feel like they should be doing the most challenging content always, and if they're not, then they're missing out or not getting like the optimal rewards. And I, right, people are going to hate me for this, but is that a bad thing if you're a new player and you can't do everything? Because I like the sense that there's a lot of people in my community who started playing the game a couple of leagues ago and they were new players and they couldn't do Sirus. Now, a couple of leagues later, they've improved, they got better, they learned how to make more currency, and then they killed Sirus, and it's like really exciting for them. People will go on Reddit and be like, I don't have any friends to tell this to, but I just did my first Maven today. And
Yeah.
like they're so excited about it. If you made Maven easy, no one would give a shit. Like no one would care if you did that.
Yeah, that's kind of the problem where GGG shouldn't listen to people.
Yeah.
And there are some times for that overall, is you don't want to do that. But I think just like the jump is too steep is my point. I'm not saying everyone should be able to get the mirror items. The thing is, you don't actually, a lot of people will obsess over certain items because a lot of people who actually will get the mirror ones and build guides out there will have it. But do you actually need those 6 properties on the item? No. You could probably, in many cases, get away with 3 plus a benchcraft, and it's not going to harm the build at all, and it's good enough. And that's why usually I cut off, because I'm like, I'm not going to do the last little bit, but I do the content fine, and I can still do all the content in the game. So
exactly.
So I mean, I don't think it's too steep to the point where you can't do some of the other content if you have game knowledge and stuff like that. Because honestly, I wouldn't be able to do it. I'll just tell, like, I'm not good mechanically at the game. I've gotten way slower just overall. Like, I've definitely been above average, but I'm not significantly above average mechanically. And as I've gotten older and slower, I've gotten worse. Like the Sirus fight and stuff like that, like I have trouble seeing the red on black, and I still like just botch the whole mechanic all the time. So I mean, like I don't think I'm a good player, and if the game was, when it gets to the point where I can't do it, of course I'm going to rage, but and cry about it, right? Sirus. But yeah, screw that fight.
That's not your fault. Yeah, it's so bad, man. Once you learn it, you can do it, but it's just so, oh man, like you said, the red on black. Who thought that was a good idea? Like, I don't have color blindness, and I can't even see what the hell's going on.
Yeah, exactly. I don't either, so I cannot imagine. And it's just like he's teleporting all over the place and stuff. Yeah, like keeping track, like his teleport animations are like 2 seconds. It's like I can't register all this stuff, okay? It's really difficult. Yeah, exactly. It's the frequency of the encounter, too, right? That you only encounter it so often, too. But, I mean, I do like that there's very challenging things that I go in. Although a part of me, of course, wants it all to be easy so I can just get my loot. So I do like that GGG doesn't fully give in that.
Yep, because then we would end up like that other game. Like you said, 3 days, league's over. And I mean, don't get me wrong, D3 got way better, by the way, but it does have that problem where it's just like, oh, this is too easy, and I've played for like a week, and I got all my gear, and now what is the point? So I do kind of push back when people constantly want to make the game easier. I know that's not a popular opinion, but some stuff should be hard and a challenge, as long as it's hard and a challenge in the right way.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
Yeah, it's just like, I think there's different levels of this, okay? Diablo 3 is like, if you have the defenses, you're never dying ever. That's not interesting. And then Path of Exile's on the other end of like, what the hell just killed me sometimes. Which is good and bad simultaneously.
I don't know how they're ever going to balance it, because people want to blow up entire screens of monsters, but they also want perfect visual clarity at the same time.
Yeah, you can't have the two, and the clutter's just gotten out of control.
Exactly. So it's either like have your celestial herald device exploding the whole screen and be happy, but then don't complain when you can't see what killed you, right? Unless maybe there's some like super genius graphic designer or whatever who can figure out how to have 1,000 mobs on the screen and perfect visual clarity, but I don't think that's possible, right?
Well, I remember a couple leagues back, well, for several leagues, I played carrying golems, which had the specter minions, the zombies, and the carrying golems. I didn't know what was going on half the times, but I was winning. It was pretty fun. But at the same time, like I couldn't tell you what was going on. My strategy was kill the screen, move, so I don't die to on-death effects, which I hate on-death effects, by the way.
Oh yeah.
But I don't know a solution for some of these things. The other thing that came up for me recently when I was playing Diablo 3 over the last couple of days is kind of the lack of group play dynamic overall. And I don't know how they solve this one either, because now the game's so quickly that you kind of you either need a really coordinated group, like I can't just pick up random people. I'm basically clearing and just making it more difficult and having them try to follow me, because there's so many momentum based builds. I can't stop and wait for people to catch up, right? Especially like headhunter stuff, rampage stuff like that.
Yeah.
I just go zoom through the map and hopefully you took the exact same path. And what Diablo 3 does is, well, you're standing in one place. The combat's not as interesting. Things are happening. You're like fighting a rare in one place and everyone like catches up and then you're just doing the rare and then you move on. So I don't know what the good balance between that is, but the only way that I see group play ever working in Path of Exile is if they really, really slow the game down. But that's going to be very, very unpopular. So it's like, what do you do at this point?
Get a death log, maybe. That might help some people. It would be nice if it was like you got hit by this thing that did 15,000 physical damage. And then you look and you're like, oh, I have no armor. Maybe I should get some armor. But that's about it. That's all I can think of.
Yeah, but that still doesn't solve the visual clarity, and it doesn't solve the zooming of the group stuff, too.
I'm a D2 nerd. I would D2 Omega lol in chat. I mean, it's like, I feel they did it perfectly, because they've got like the right mob density where it's not too crazy, but you still are killing lots of things. They're dropping lots of items, but it's not like the full screen. But at the same time, I love that. I love that about Path of Exile. I like Celestial Herald devising a whole screen of monsters.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Just like my attitude is, if I get killed by something and I don't know, well, I mean that's the price of playing.
Well, that's why I play softcore. So.
Yeah, exactly right.
For sure. Okay, if you start Path of Exile today with zero game knowledge at all, what are the most important things you think to understand about the game, or to get a leg up or get up to speed to have the best chance for success?
Oh boy. Yeah. I would say play through the game once, just have some fun, and then follow a build guide. Like if you do want to get good at the game more quickly, follow a build guide right off the bat and just stick to it. That you'll probably learn way more than you would if you just played through. And then other than that, just have fun, really. I think sometimes we forget it's a game. Just have fun. And if
blasphemy! Cut them off. Okay, we're gonna have to cut the interview. Cut the interview, guys. But fun. What's this thing? No, I agree with you there sometimes, and I have to always catch myself. You know what I mean? Not having fun because I'm taking it too seriously. I think a lot of people just have a problem with that.
With having fun in a computer game.
Well, I mean, there's that too, but I mean, in general, just taking it too seriously, where you sabotage the fun for yourself.
Oh, I don't do that. I don't think.
Well, unfortunately, I do. So,
Oh no.
yeah, many a times. So, I don't as much anymore. But I also like when I'm playing so much. I care about like getting whatever goal, hitting whatever goal in the thing, and grinding at whatever thing, and getting to that point where I don't stop and really just feel the game and have fun. So like this last league, actually, I didn't stream at all. Instead of trying to rush through everything. Yeah, it was rough. No, but instead of trying to rush, I just played with my friend Alan, and we just kind of just chilled. I just kind of played through. I still got my build done by like day 2 or 3, but I actually had a ton more fun doing that than trying to be, oh, well, we got to get sub 5 hour or whatever, or we're shitters or something. Thinking like that, which is kind of how I approach it in other leagues where like I'll prep for it and stuff like that and feel bad. But it's just like, it's not worth putting that pressure on and stuff like that.
No,
especially
never
since.
Do that.
Yeah, well, I did that for a very long time. So, especially like for me, I generally take a week off of work to go play that start of the league. So it's a time that I need to recharge. And if I'm taking it so seriously that I have to rush or feel like that, and maybe some of it was the content creation too.
Yeah,
where I put a lot of stress on myself. Like I have to get to this budget, or I can't make that video. And these are things that I just don't care about anymore. Like I'm gonna make videos at some point that I care about and stuff, but now I'll never try to force videos. I'll always make videos that I either think are important to my viewers or me showing myself having a good time that I'm enjoying. And I try to reimmerse myself in just the fun element and sharing fun with people and showing fun stuff than worrying about, is this the best, most optimal build and stuff like that. And switching that gear for me personally has been really good, but there's a lot of people that I was that way for a while that I still have my community who then are disappointed with my new content. But it's something like, I just know it's not sustainable for me to do that and take it super seriously. It's better for me to be, there's so many other people who aren't elite who play the game than are elite. It's just the people who are elite are the loudest people.
That's interesting. You made me think about that because I just realized that some people see this as a competitive game.
A lot of people do. Well, I did.
You did?
For a very long time.
I mean, like in terms of racing, yeah, but I mean, like, where's the?
I don't know.
Trying to beat?
Oh, well, you could get whatever, you can make whatever into a competition if you always think like that. And I think like depending on your upbringing, where you grew up and stuff like that, we're trained to always compare ourselves to other people and compete and make competitions where there aren't any. And so basically you're competing with someone who doesn't know that they're competing with you. And basically, right? And they don't care about it, but you care about it. But you can create,
that makes sense.
You can get yourself in those cycles. It's like, well, I got to get to the end. Well, like you can put yourself against other people and then feel bad about it. Like Grimrow, Path of Math, they all generally rush like boss killing. Okay, so what you could do is try to rush boss killing as well. Compare yourselves to them and then feel crappy about it. I don't recommend doing this, but this is stuff that I've done. Like, you know what I mean? I've tried to like also get to the bosses really quickly and farm them by that point. And then I've just created this thing where they don't know that I'm competing with them or whatever, but it's really, you're competing for a share of the market early in the league. Okay. So like, that's how I was doing it. So I could pump out more videos, get to my build quicker. And once it gets oversaturated, there's a drop off in the profit there. Right? So it's like, if you care about that. But the truth of the matter is, I think most people overemphasize the importance of the league start. And the way that I approach it now is, my goal at the league start is not to play the most optimal, not respect build that I can kill the bosses on. It's that I have a solid build that I enjoy playing on day 2 or 3. And I know that at least that I can get to that point, and it's not going to be the worst thing ever. so I could play something for like a day and deal with it, and then I could start playing my build on like day 2, and then I could play that for a week or whatever and be able to farm content. That's how I approach it these last 2 leagues, but prior to that, I approached it the other way, and I basically ended up getting really burnt out by having that kind of like toxic mindset to a certain extent. Now, competition isn't always toxic, but when you're creating competition just for the sake of competition, then it's just like, what are you doing here?
I don't have that. I've never felt that way about Path of Exile. I think maybe because I do play some actually competitive games like Counter-Strike and Dota and stuff. So Path of Exile always just felt like me versus the game. Like there's no one else to worry about. I can go at my own pace. I do try and like get to maps as quickly as possible at league stuff, but like I don't care if some dude killed Shaper by the time I wake up the next morning. But I get it if some people are competitive, but maybe that's why some people get really angry, like if they get unlucky or they perceive like RNG screwed me or something like that.
Yeah, that's
I don't know.
now you understand. Yeah. If you look at the game from the lens that I used to, you can understand why people are super triggered on Reddit all the time, right?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Or if like the leagues start in the queues and why that's such a big deal and people get so upset with that because they're like they feel like they were cheated out of the competition. Does it really matter if you zoom out and just play the game to have fun and don't put all these burdens on yourself? Does it really matter? No, but that's not how most people think about it. I think.
Wow.
I think a lot of people.
I'm such a simp for like GGG. Am I allowed to say
that?
Yeah,
I think. I don't know, man. Well, I guess when it gets flagged, I mean, I'm going to write you an angry letter.
Oh, so, no, I said the S word.
I don't know. I think it's fine. You know, it's just language after all. But I'm not going to get into my takes on that stuff. Not trying I'm trying to share things here, not get myself canceled. So let's not go into that. All right. But what is one thing that you would like to see change for Path of Exile?
One thing.
Only choose one.
I want all of the metacrafts to go from 2x to 1x, or maybe even less.
Interesting.
I think that would be. Question is, would that actually make it more accessible to people who can't afford those now, or would it just make it cheaper for the people who are already doing those things?
If the metacrafts are 1x, I would use it more.
You would?
Yeah, but at 3x, sometimes I'm hesitant to even try. At 2, well, so it depends if you want what you want to do. Like if you want to do the multi-mod prefix suffix and then slam with an exalt, that's kind of a lot of investment.
But you cut that in half? I mean, I think it would even be cool if you could, if that was like, if there was tiered pricing on those crafts. So let's say you have an item level 80, like 68 and below, then all the meta crafts are like 4 chaos, right? Because you can't get as many good mods. And then like up to level 76, it's maybe like a divine, and then 86 is 1x. I think that would be pretty cool. Like imagine doing meta crafting like just as you get to max and you want to like reforge life, but it's only 4 chaos and not 2x. I doubt they would do it, but that's what I would change.
Gotcha. My biggest change would be auction house, baby. Let me trade. Wow. Yep, let me trade those base currencies that I could craft with, please.
Oh, okay.
Like just not full auction house with all items. I want basic stuff like splinters, mapping materials, scours, skirt, those, right?
I would be cool with that. Just so you don't have to freaking message 50 people.
Yeah, it's like I pray that I get a bot. At this point, right?
But I mean, my trick is always if you're buying bulk or currency or anything, just go on the page, search, scroll down like 50 people, and then message someone. You're gonna pay more, but
or you do the reverse. You just list and let people come to you and just get spammed.
Yeah,
well, that's the. That's the big brain thing, is let people come to you and let them scroll through the pages.
Exactly.
So that's an interesting thing. All right, that was it for the Path of Exile section. Now we're going to move on to content creation in the next video. If you like this, check out Lolcohol. It will be in the description, a link to his channel and his socials. And see you guys in the next part.